Hey everybody, how you doing? I like that. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here today. Before I begin, I want to just let you know my name is Stuart Schlossman. I too have MS. Long saga on that. You want to know about it? You'll see me later on, all right? But right now, we need to get started with this program. So for today, though, I want to thank Sanofi-Genzyme. Hope that you all as well. They gave us the grant to do today's program. Clap! Come on, I want to hear it. You don't have to be announced. We don't got to do it like that. It's going to be like a revival here today, all right? So, you know, we got some great speakers that we're bringing to you today. We got our local personality. Her name is Julie Roberts, not to be confused with the one that ends with an A, all right, that so many confuse her with, all right? But Julie Roberts was nominated twice by the Academy of Country Music for Top Female Artist. She's been nominated by the Country Music Association for the Horizon Award for Top New Artist. She's been featured in Rolling Stone, The New York Times, and many other publications. She's performed on The Tonight Show and Good Morning America. She's sold over 1 million records and is currently in the studio finishing up a new brand album, producing with Shooter Jennings. And actually, today I was told that it was just this afternoon, Julie just turned in her first book about her life story to the publisher, HarperCollins, and that's going to be coming out later this year. So when it is, we're going to let you all know that her book is being published as well. So let's welcome Julie Roberts. Long way around over here. What a maze they set up, huh?
It's a maze.
If you come around here, it's an amazing maze. Thank you for coming. I'm going to let you come on up, and I'm going to get on behind you. Sure.
Okay. Hey, y'all. I can say y'all because I'm from South Carolina. So I'm happy to be home. Thank y'all for having me, and thank you for coming out. And I'm excited that Stuart asked me to come to my home state because I don't get to come back here much, except for this time of the year. I get to see my family a little bit or at Christmas. But this may be the first time I've been here to share my journey of living with MS. And so I'm going to share it with y'all, my Carolina people. Are y'all Gamecock fans? Well, good. I'm glad y'all are. All right, y'all are going to know this song. I know you are, because I learned this. I'm from Lancaster, South Carolina, actually. Well, I was country when country wasn't cool. Yeah, I was country from my head down to my boots. And I still laugh and look the same. What you see ain't nothing new. I was country when country wasn't cool. All right, y'all don't disappoint me, Carolina. Do y'all know who recorded that song first? I know y'all are country music fans here. Okay, I'll give you a hint. She had a TV show with her sisters. Yes, I heard it several times. It's Barbara Mandrell. And I tell you that because when I was a little girl, again, I'm from Lancaster, South Carolina, which is not that far from here. And I grew up in a home that was not a fun home. It was a home with domestic violence. And Mama, I have 2 sisters, and Mama would take my sisters and I out in the middle of the night. And we'd go to Mama's house. Mama was my grandmother, and she lived like 10 minutes from us. The town's really small, so it took like 10 minutes. And so on the way there, and we stayed with her a lot. And on the way there, Mama drove a Ford F-150 white truck, and she turned the country music up in that truck. And my sisters and I stood up. We didn't sit down. This was before seatbelt laws. And we stood up in her truck, and we sang. And that's where I learned country music. And country music took us away, and it made us happy. And we get to Mama's house, and Mama made everything fried. Fried okra, fried squash. Mama is still in Lancaster. I'll see her. Actually, I'm going to go and see her next week. Have a couple of days off because I'm on the road touring right now. And I'm going to go see her prior to Christmas, and I'm going to have those fried things. And I know that we're supposed to eat, Jeff says we're supposed to work out, eat healthy and all that. But I like Mama's cooking. So we'd go there and we'd eat her cooking, and we'd watch the Mandrell Sister show. We watched Carol Burnett, and I loved Carol Burnett. She made me laugh. And we watched Hee Haw. Did y'all remember Hee Haw? And we would go to bed, my sisters and I, at Mama's house. And Mama, from a young age, taught us about faith. And she taught us how important it was. And so from a young age, I prayed. And every night before we go to bed at Mama's house, we'd say the prayer that you probably are familiar with, and it was, "Now lay me down to sleep," that prayer. And at the end of the prayer, I'd say, "God, please give me a record deal and make me a singer like Barbara Mandrell, and help me to buy Mama a happy home." And I said that prayer from the time I was a little girl until the time some of those things began to come in my life. Now, I knew to sing country music and to get this record deal that I was asking God for, I had to move to Nashville, Tennessee. I didn't know anybody in Nashville. And Mama said, "You can go to Nashville, but you got to go to college." I said, "Mama, I don't have to go to college to be Barbara Mandrell." And she said, "Yeah, you do." So I went to University of South Carolina for 2 years, Gamecocks. And then I transferred. I found a school in Nashville called Belmont, and I majored in music business. And I graduated, and I didn't get a record deal right away. I got a job as a receptionist at Mercury Records. And I answered phones every day for like 2.5 years. I'd say, "Mercury Records, this is Julie. How can I help you?" But I had formed a band in college, and so I'd get off of work, and we'd play anywhere we could. We'd play coffee houses, pizza restaurants. And it's hard to get gigs in Nashville because everybody wants to be a singer. And so it was hard for us to get a gig. And so then we started playing at a place called Harvey Washbangers. And Harvey Washbangers was a laundromat. And Harvey owned the laundromat, and he said, "Y'all can play here, but if you hear the dryer go off, you got to say, 'Dryer number 2, your clothes are ready.'" And I said, "Okay." So we were playing those 3 places. I was answering the phones during the day. And I was still praying every night, "God, please give me a record deal and help me get Mama a happy home." And in the meantime, my guitar player was a receptionist across town at a publishing company, and he met a producer in town named Brent Rowan. And Brent Rowan had just produced an artist named Joe Nichols. And he said, "Hey, Brent, come and watch us play at the laundromat. I'm playing with this girl. You probably know her. She answers the phones at Mercury." And he said, "I do know her, but I'm not coming to the laundromat to hear y'all sing. Do you have a CD?" And he said, "Yeah, we made one in college." So he gave Brent the CD we made in college, and Brent called me one day at the front desk, and he said, "I heard the CD you made with your band." And he said, "And the music's awful." He said, "But I like your voice." He said, "And I want to start recording with you at night. Can you stop playing the laundromats for a while and the pizza restaurants?" And I said, "Yep." So we started recording. Long story short, we recorded over a long period of time, about 5 songs. And he said, "All right, I want to start taking them to the record labels because I know you want a record deal." I said, "I do. I pray for it every night." And so he went to every record label in town, and they all said, "She's too bluesy. She's too soulful. We want somebody that sings pop country music." I said, "Well, Brent, that's not me." And he said, "That's all right. We'll find somebody." And then I kept answering phones, but then the head of Mercury Records came to me, the president, and he said, "I like the way you answer phones." And he said, "I'd like you to be my assistant and answer my phones, and you'll get a pay raise." And his name was Luke. And I said, "Okay, good. I need a pay raise." He said, "But if you're a singer, don't tell me because I don't want a singer answer my phones." So I said, "Okay." I didn't tell him I was. I didn't tell him I wasn't. I just said, "Okay." So I got my pay raise, and every day I started saying, "Luke Lewis's office, this is Julie." I did that for probably another 1.5 years, and Brent and I kept working. I had a lot of idle time, sitting at the desk when the phones weren't ringing. So I started faxing out Mama's resume. She was still in South Carolina. And I would change the cover letter, and I'd say, I'm looking to relocate to Nashville. And I helped her get a job. And so 3 years after I graduated, or after I moved to Nashville, and after I graduated, Mama got a job at a mattress factory in Nashville. And she moved there, and she started her life over. And she became my roommate. And we were living in an apartment, and that was our first happy home. So God answered that prayer. And Brent, my producer, said, Julie, your mama's here. I want to get you that record deal now. I want to take this to your boss, what we've been recording. And I said, no, I'll get fired. I'm not supposed to be a singer. And he said, I promise if you'll get me on his calendar, I won't get you fired. I said, okay. So I went to my boss and I said, hey, Luke, Brent Rowan is working with a new artist in town. And he'd love a meeting with you. He wants to play you what they've been working on. And Luke, my boss, said, all right, find a spot on my calendar. He didn't ask me who the singer was, if it was a guy or a girl, and I knew that was God working on my behalf. So Brent came into the meeting, and I'm sitting outside the office, and I can hear my music playing in my boss's office, and my heart's racing because I'm thinking I'm getting ready to lose my job. And I heard the CD stop and start several times. And then Brent left, and he said, call me when you get off. And then my boss left, and he said, or was leaving, he said, I'll see you tomorrow. So I called Brent as soon as I could, and he said, he stopped the CD the first time and said, who is this girl? I want to meet her. I like her voice. And he said, she's right outside your office. She's your assistant. And he said a lot of things that I can't say on this YouTube channel today. But in essence, he said, I didn't know she was a singer. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I do like it. Eventually, he came back to me and he said, I love your stuff, and I'm going to play it for the rest of Mercury and not tell them it's you. And if they like it, we'll give you a record deal. And if they don't, you can keep your job answering my phones, and I'll never tell them it was you. So I kept praying. And finally, a few weeks later, he said, Julie, I need a new assistant because we're giving you a record deal. And my assistant cannot sing this time. And I said, okay. So I got to quit my job. I finished making my record, and my record came out. I traveled everywhere. I had a CD release at the Carolina Place Mall in Charlotte. Y'all may have been there. And as you heard, I got to play The Tonight Show a few times. Life was great. And in 2005, I was playing a club. And in the middle of my show, my vision went blurry. I love to make eye contact, just like I am today with y'all. But I couldn't see who was standing in front of me at my show. And I hold my microphone with my right hand, just like this, but my right hand went numb and weak. And I couldn't hold my microphone anymore. So I switched it to my left hand, and the same thing happened. So I knew something was wrong, but there was a microphone stand on stage. I was able to put my microphone in the stand, and I finished my show. And I called Mama. Mama's my other half. And she said, when you get home, my ears just opened up from flying today. I can hear myself now. So she said, when you get home, you need to go straight to the doctor. So I got home right away. I only came home to get my roots done. And so coming home to go to a doctor's appointment was odd. Like I never wanted to come home. I wanted to play shows. So I came home and I went to the doctor my primary care doctor who sent me to a neurologist. The neurologist did tons of tests, and he said, I'll call you. And the next day I was recording what would be my second album called Men and Mascara. The line is, men and mascara always run. Country lyric. So I was recording that song. I remember exactly what was going on in my life when I was told I had MS. And my phone rang, and I saw it was my doctor, and I didn't answer. But I called Mama, and I said, can you call him, and I'll call you when I'm done? She said, yeah. So I called Mama when I was finished, and she said, Julie, he said you don't have this or this or this. She went down a long list of things. I know she'd gone on the internet. And she said, but you have MS. I said, okay. She said, you want me to pick you up? You don't have to drive home. I said, I'm fine. So I get home, and by this time, because I had my pay raise, and then Mama had her job, we had bought a townhouse. So really our true first happy home that we owned. We didn't have a garage, so I pulled under the carport, and Mama and my dogs, we had 4 dogs, and then my younger sister had moved from South Carolina too, were on the patio, and they were waiting on me, and they were crying when I opened the door. I said, why are y'all crying? And they said, why aren't you? And I said, because I keep thinking about Carol. And they knew who Carol was, but y'all don't. I'll tell you really quick. When I was living in South Carolina every Saturday in Lancaster, I would go sing at the nursing homes, gospel music. And Carol was a young lady in her 30s. She wore bright red lipstick. And she would always ask me to sing a song called What Part to Know and Peace in the Valley. But Carol, to me, as a little girl, looked very different from the other residents. And I would always say, why is Carol here? Nobody would tell me. But finally, someone said, Carol is here because she has MS and doesn't have a caretaker. And Carol had MS before there were any therapies, too. So I thought that meant that was what my life would be then. I had just started my career. So I was scared. But I knew why God introduced me to her at a young age. My music made her happy. So I said, okay, God, then you must have another plan for me. You're going to have to show it to me. So I went back to my neurologist the next day. He told me all about MS. He gave me all these pamphlets of the available therapies, and I went home and I put it in a drawer, and I got back on the bus. For 5 years, I never read those pamphlets. I thought if I didn't say it out loud, it would go away. I was in denial. Y'all don't do that. And if you know anybody that's newly diagnosed, tell them don't do that. Because I learned that was bad. So 5 years passed. I was living in Los Angeles for a year, working on a movie project that was put on hold. And then I moved back to Nashville to work on what would be my 3rd project. And I get back and I go see my old boss in 2010, Luke. And I said, I'm back, Luke. I've been working on this movie, which he was excited about. It was going to be for a lifetime, about my life in South Carolina and about working for this man that signed me. And he said, how's the movie going? I said, well, it's on hold. The personnel changed at Lifetime. I don't know when it'll get made. And he said, okay, well, your career here at Mercury Records is on hold too. I said, what's that mean? He said, you owe us 5 more albums, and I'm going to let you out of here today. And we don't want another album from you without the movie. Honestly, that was a harder day than hearing I had MS, because all I ever wanted was to sing and have a record deal. And just a few days later, the 1,000-year flood came through Nashville, Tennessee on May the 1st, 2010. People lost their lives in that flood. And we lost our happy home. Our cars floated away. We lost all of our material. Our townhouse was gone. But we were rescued by a boat. A boat came through the front door of our townhouse and put Mama in the boat, me, my sister, and our 4 dogs. And I knew then again that God had another plan for me. I was hoping that it was still music, but I knew He had another plan. When we were finally able to go back to our townhouse, all of those symptoms came back. So my MS actually had not gone away like I thought it had. I went back to my neurologist. I couldn't pull up the carpet, so I couldn't use my hands. My vision was gone. I went back to my neurologist, and I said, I didn't read anything you gave me. Actually, it floated away. And he said, that's okay. Sometimes it takes time for people to accept it. And I'm not mad at you. I said, but I'm ready to start. I know I was saved for a reason, and I'm ready to figure it out and hopefully help people just like me. So I started managing my MS. I didn't have a record deal anymore. My car floated away, so when I got my State Farm check for my car, I didn't buy a car. I started my own record label, and I called it Ain't Scared Records because I wasn't scared anymore. I told the music industry I had MS. I told my fans. And when I told the music industry, they got scared. I lost my booking agent. They thought I couldn't play shows. And I said, that's okay. I'll show you. So I started booking myself. I wasn't on a bus anymore. I was starting over. I was renting a car. But I was playing shows. And I was living my dreams with MS. And I'm going to, as you see, I have a book coming out with a lot of chapters about all the things in between. But I'm going to close with this. So with the music industry being afraid, I was an independent artist for a while. And a lot of people thought I disappeared. A lot of people here in South Carolina hadn't heard of me or hadn't seen me in a while. And that's because I was independent. When you work for Ain't Scared Records and you're the only employee, it's hard to market yourself. I was doing the best I could on Facebook and Instagram. But I was checking my email one day, and I was driving to this farm in Nashville to get vegetables, and I heard this song on the radio, and it was, just some good old boys, never meaning no harm. Y'all remember that song? That was a song I heard at my mom's house, too, Dukes of Hazzard. And it was by, Waylon Jennings was singing it. And so I was listening to that, and then I checked my email, and I had an email from a guy that says, Julie, I know our industry is afraid that you have MS, but I'm not, and I want to help you make a record. I want to help you get back out there. And it was signed Shooter Jennings. And I thought it was a joke, and I waited a few days. I prayed about it, and I finally emailed him back, and I said, is this a joke? And he said, no. And I said, okay. Well, I used my State Farm check, so I can't pay for another record. And he said, just get to L.A. and we'll make a record. We'll start with one song. And one song turned to 15 over the last 2 years. We just actually finished it. And it'll be out next year. And actually, I leave tomorrow. I've been touring with him. And I leave here tomorrow and go meet him in Cincinnati and Kentucky and play with him through the rest of the weekend. So I'm starting over. And I'm doing it now, and I'm stronger. I'm doing it. I'm stronger than I ever was at the beginning. And I was scared for a long time, but I'm not now. And I know now why I met Carol. My music helped her, but now my story, I know, will help others living with MS to know that they don't have to stop their lives. You know, the world may say you can't do something, but Jeff said earlier, you can wake up and say, I'm doing this today. And so today, I'm telling you, I'm leaving here tomorrow and I'm going to go play a show. I'm going to put out a record. And I'm going to tell my story. And one day this movie's going to get made. I know that God didn't want it made because I hadn't been diagnosed. I had not told the world I had MS. I had not lived through the flood. And so now the movie will be a lot better. And it'll help a lot more people. And it's going to show the world that we can live our dreams with MS. So thank you for letting me share a short version of my life story with you up to this point. And thank you for welcoming me back to South Carolina.
Hey, yay. Woohoo. Does anybody have any questions for Julie? Anybody want to ask her a personal question?
Sing another song.
Sing another song? Can you sing a quick song?
I don't know. I have been on, y'all might not want to hug me either later. I've been on steroids. I'm going to have to tomorrow, though, because I've been having this, whatever.
Well, we're not going to force her to sing then. Anybody got any questions? Last thing? Last going?
Next time I will, though, whoever asked that.
How about that?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Julie.
Thank y'all. God bless y'all.